Hey guys, yeah, I've got about 25 minutes to go before I have to head back to work. I'm on my lunch. Happy Memorial Day, first of all. Thank you to all those that have served and gave their lives and everything for our freedom. But I thought I'd come on here. Now, I did an audio. I'll probably still post the audio later. But I kind of wanted to come on here and discuss something. Now, I'm pretty sure by now my family has a bit of an idea that, I'm a fan maybe of Frenchman's Magic. I'm not going to deny that. I'm pretty sure my family has a clue about that by now. And thankfully they haven't said anything, because I think when you look online and you look at documentaries like Baroni, and you take a look at all these other documentaries and stuff and information about it, you're kind of surprised that you got all walks of life, if you will, pretty much dedicated, or that are a part of this dedicated fan base. And hold on. And sorry about the wind. And again, being part of it, it's kind of surprising to a lot of them that there are adult fans my age, older, younger, in the military, sports, what have you, that are fans of this. And it's still crazy, and it still kind of bewilders people as well, because you even have families that together like the show as well. And again, like I said, I think it bewilders them, and I think the reason for that is, like I said before, I think when you take a look at all the shows that are on television right now, you take a look at all the shows that are on television, that are on streaming services, they all have their own unique fan bases. They somehow garner a following. But when you look at them, in a sense, you're kind of like, they're good, but they also have certain moments and certain moments and stuff in them that are not always appropriate for everybody. You take a look at MLP and it's like, wow, this, it's on a cable channel. It's on Discovery Family of all cable channels, and it's a big deal. It's become a huge hit because it goes beyond what it was intended to be. It goes beyond that. It's able to touch all bases, and basically be the one show that, no matter how you look at it, has something for everybody. And I think that's why it appeals to a lot of people. It brings in references and stuff that you wouldn't normally see. However, one thing that a lot of fans are kind of split about, in a sense, the one thing a lot of people are split about is the spin-off, which was Equestia Girls. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people in the middle of it are kind of like 50-50 on it. And I can understand that. But this morning I got up a little early because I slept for a while. I slept a good long time, a good amount of hours. And this morning I got up and I went and checked some of the message boards and what other people had to say. And basically, I look at that's weird. Somebody lost a whole bottle's worth of White Rain 3-in-1 men's body shampoo. Go figure. But anyway, what I was saying is that this morning I got up and I went on the message boards. Just checking something there. But again, I went on the message boards, and there was a topic that somebody had created, and they asked basically, is there anyone that still hates the Equestria girls? And it got a decent reaction, basically got a decent reaction of yes, no, kind of like, the reactions were kind of like, they were like, well, we started to hate it, but then we liked it. We hate, we're kind of in the middle. There are some that even downright say, hey, I'll admit it. I don't like Equestria girls. I think it sucks and all that. There are people that will be brutally honest. Me, I'll admit, I don't like it either, but I can see why it was created. What I said on the message board is the truth is, this is what I said, basically, I have no hate against it, because the reason it was created was as a cash cow, was a cash tie-in, and a cash cow was created as a cash cow tie-in, if you will, by Hasbro, because they saw the success Monster High was having. Because they saw the success Monster High was having, they figured, hey, we need a piece of that. And instead of creating something original and stuff to kind of compete with Monster High, they looked at My Little Pony and said, hey, why not make them into teenagers, make them into human teenagers, have them go to a school called Chantelot High or whatever. So there you go. And of course, not everybody, like I said, not everybody's a real fan of it. I mean, Lauren Faust, she's not particularly fond of it because it goes against everything she had envisioned for Friendship is Magic. One thing I said in an audio that I'll probably still post, one thing I said was, I believe Lauren Faust, in my opinion, I believe Lauren Faust really wouldn't have anything against it if it was its own thing. If it was created separately as its own entity, had nothing to do with Friendship is Magic. Yeah, you could keep the names the same, but basically this is like an alternate universe. There is no connection. This is another world, another place, and there's a time kind of scenario. And it and it treats itself like such. It treats itself like such, but the problem is you have a connection between both franchises. And what's that connection? You basically have, that connection is a magic mirror that transports characters from one world to another. And it all started with the first movie, with Twilight being the one to do it. And then she did it again in the second movie. Then at the end of the third movie she did it, where she met her human counterpart. And then, to top it all off, one of the new shorts that came out overseas, and it'll be coming out, I think, around July 8th, I believe. Now you have Starlight doing it, thanks to help from Sunset, who goes back to the Equestria world, the Equestria Prime world, to get a notebook, a special magic notebook she needs that allows her to communicate with Twilight of said world, of said Equestria Prime world. And then in turn, she not only meets up with Starlight and sees that they have a lot in common, but brings her back. And then to top it all off, you basically end said short by having Twilight communicate with Sunset through the notebook, telling her, confirming, Starlight has to go back, but let us stay a few days. Let us see what it's like over there. that to me is the only problem I think Lauren Faust has with it. And I think that's the problem that a lot of fans that are kind of mixed about it, that don't particularly like it, they have a problem with. It's that connection. If they would have, it's like I said in the audio, if they would have done it in a sense that, you know, if they would have done it in a way to where you could have incorporated Sunset Shimmer, but a human portion of her. Like, let's say she's an exchange student, or she's a transfer student, or something. You could still do the same thing. You can go the same story route with her in the first movie, even if it's just a plain human version of her. You know, no connection of her being a pony in a human disguise or something like that. You know, just let her be, you know, who she is. You know, just make the human Sunset an original character. Don't rely on the fact that she's actually in reality a pony from another world. You know, same with Twilight's counterpart. It takes them doing a cliffhanger at the end of the second movie, and then building on said cliffhanger in the third movie to get around to introducing us to Twilight's human counterpart, Twilight as they call her. And it's like, you could have just brought a human Twilight into the forefront from the beginning. You could have figured out another way of doing it. You didn't have to rely on this character being that character. You know, this character becoming this version of themselves. You didn't have to rely on that. You didn't. And then to top it all off, you have Starlight now doing it, which obviously is going to lead to a human counterpart of Starlight showing up. But you could have had Starlight show up as an original human, as a transfer student. You could have had the same story and everything happen. But they didn't do that. Instead, who is it? Instead, what did they do? Instead, they had Starlight Glimmer of the Equestia Prime come over and turn herself into a human through the courtesy of the mirror portal. So the question is why doesn't? So the question is, you know, why? I guess what the question is why didn't Hasbro think of doing it more originally, instead of depending on the fact like, oh well, we have this magic mirror as a Deus Ex Machina that can allow them to cross over. I mean, a lot of people are saying, I mean, come on, a lot of people are looking at the fact that Equestria Girls is now being treated as its own thing. Like, it really doesn't have no connection, but yet it does. And if you're determined to make it its own thing, don't let it have a connection. Just say it's a spin-off. Promote it as, you know, promote it in a way that showcases human versions of the characters in another world. It's another world, another timeline. This is what the characters would be like if they were human, It would have made more sense. It would have made more sense when one thinks about it. I mean, you know, and it's a wonder why the question still gets arised as to why people hate, or if people still hate Equestria Girls. I think the reason people still ask that question is because the reason I believe people hate it, in a sense, well, not totally hate it, but hate it for said reason, is because it's basically connected to Friendship is Magic, but yet you want to treat it like it's not. And that doesn't work either way. I mean, the more recent short that I mentioned basically confirms it's connected to Friendship is Magic in continuity and is canon to Friendship is Magic. The only thing left to do to really prove that is a crossover between the Equestria Girl versions of the main six and the main six with them. In other words, have the Equestria girls, human form and everything still, come face to face with the pony counterparts, still as ponies, and see that, and see that even though they're similar, if not the same in personality, there are differences. Like, let's say with Rarity, she has her own boutique. She's like in her 20s, 18, whatever, but yet you look at her in Equestria girl, she's a teenager, and have something like that dawn on Rarity, like, oh crap, I'm a kid still, or I'm a filly still, or whatever. The point is, that's the only last thing for them to do. The point I'm trying to make is, I think, in my opinion, Lauren Faust doesn't hate it. Everybody that comes out and says that they dislike it, don't really dislike it for, dislike it at all. I think they just hate or dislike it for the fact that it has a connection with Friendship is Magic. I believe, in my own opinion, I know I'm repeating myself there, so I do apologize, but I believe that if it was its own thing, no connection whatsoever to Friendship is Magic, I believe it would probably do a lot better. Because yes, it would be the same characters, but it would be human versions. And you could, like I said, introduce characters like Sunset Shimmer and Starlight Glimmer as human versions, as original human characters of themselves, and not have to rely on them being ponies in a human disguise. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one thing I mentioned in the topic is DC now is trying to capitalize on this. DC, of all people, is trying to capitalize on this success. And why are they trying to capitalize on it? Because they see the success that My Little Pony Hasbro's had with the Equestria girls. They see the success Monster High's had. And now DC's trying to have that same success with the DC Superhero Girls franchise. And Ever After on Netflix, their franchise is trying to capitalize on it too. And it's like, and it's like, it all started with Monster High. But here's the thing, and I'm trying to get some words out there to kind of explain this. The biggest difference though is the reason DC Superhero Girls is becoming a success, the reason Ever After has become a success, is because they're their own thing. Superhero Girls is a spin-off of DC female superheroes. And male superheroes, if you will. But envisioning them as kids, as teenagers in high school. It doesn't depend on, Wonder Woman suddenly going through a portal or something like that, and here she is in this other world, and she's been de-aged just by several years to look like a teenager. No. This is basically a spin-off that has nothing to do with the other Wonder Woman stuff. It doesn't have nothing to do with the other Harley Quinn or Poison Ivy or Batgirl or Catwoman kind of stuff. It's its own thing. And it's succeeding. And when one thinks about it, that's exactly what Hasbro should have done with the Equestria Girls line. Make it its own thing. Don't rely on it having a connection to something that's more success, that's become a success, that has created and is creating its own legacy. Don't do that. If you're going to spin it off as part of the My Little Pony franchise, that's fine, but let it be its own thing. Create an original human version of Twilight. Create an original human version of Sunset Shimmer and Starlight Glimmer. Don't rely on some magic mirror that sends them through, that turns them from ponies to human and back again. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work that way. my my thought on this is my thought is this. Lauren Faust, if Lauren Faust was still working on the show at the time they had come up with the concept of Equestria Girls, there's no doubt in my mind that Lauren Faust, in my mind, I'm not sure about anybody else's, but in my mind, there's no doubt that she would have said okay to it, but she would have decided to let it be its own thing, have no connection whatsoever to Friendship is Magic. She would have came up with a scenario probably similar to what I've mentioned. But I don't know, but that's just me, but I have a feeling she would have, especially with the fact that she's not too happy at the fact that they have basically taken gone in this direction with it. Maybe she had a change of heart or something like that, but obviously, again, even if she's had a change of heart, she's not too thrilled at how Equestria Girls has, come to be, in a sense, if you know what I mean. But again, I know this went a little longer than what the audio is going to be. Well, maybe not, I don't know. Gotta look at the audio when I get home. But to me, I look at the fact that I don't believe myself or anyone else hates Equestria Girls as a whole. I think the only reason we may disdain it or have a dislike for it is because of the fact that it's got a connection to Friendship is Magic. And if word is going around that you're trying to make it its own thing, then obviously you're not doing that if you're connecting it to Friendship is Magic, and you're relying on the Friendship is Magic portion to help it move along. If you were making it its own thing, you would have started from the beginning and not have to rely on Friendship is Magic. So, but I don't think anybody hates it. I just think they don't like how it came about, how Friendship is Magic is the reason it's come about out, and the way it was, story-wise and everything. And I truly believe that Lauren Faust and anybody else that feels this way would feel differently if it was its own thing. If they would have gone the route that DC's doing with the Superhero Girls franchise, allowing it to be its own thing, not relying on any kind of connection to another universe and all that, just let it be its own thing. So, but really, that's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I gotta get back to my job and clock in. But again, let me know what you guys think. Comment if you like, and I will talk to y'all later. But again, in my opinion, I don't think anybody really hates it. I just think they hate how it came about. So, let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And I'm out.